one of the deadliest zip codes in America. Years ago, in the trap house on Wilbur, they used to give the biggest dope boy on that block a hard time because we started up a skills training workshop, like a woodworking shop. We're trying to bring opportunity to the hood, to one of the deadliest zip codes in America, where, as I mentioned earlier, young men have a higher chance of being dead or incarcerated than they do to be in school or have a job, much less be in their kids' lives. These are things that have to change. You can't change that being the most violent place in America without addressing that. That is what has to change. And so we change that by bringing hope out there. So when they see us coming, they're happy, man. Now, maybe we have cheated a little bit because we're doing this where we hit rock bottom and they do know us. And that is important because they need to know I'm not the police, right? Otherwise, I just get shot. You walk up to a trap house and say, "Hey, man, I want to shut this house down." No, you're going to get shot. You've got to use a little more tact than that. And you got to show up like every trap house.
How do you show up?
I just fucking walk up.
And say what? What's your opening line?
Well, I wouldn't just walk up to a trap house with an opening line and say, "I want to shut this down." It is a very long process. Very long.
What's the approach?
It just
the
depends
initial
on the
approach.
The initial approach is going after the addicts. Get them help. Because every dope boy has an addict or 2 or 5 that are pains in his ass. And when you're selling dope and you have somebody that's shot off real bad, they're a risk to your operation. If they get rolled up, the cops are going to offer them a deal to flip. And so that person is a threat to your existence. You want them to get off of dope. You don't want to lose them as a customer necessarily, but you want them to go to rehab and, if they relapse and get back on dope, oh well. Right. And so we've started by going after the addicts that frequent those houses. And that's not a threat to anybody. No dope boy in their right mind is ever going to get upset if you are getting the worrisome prostitute crackhead off the street. They're going to love it, actually. And you're going to build some trust with them by doing it.
And so they know that. They know that. How do they figure out it's you helping them?
Oh, because they see us. I mean, there's only 2 white people going out in the hood doing this. Well, it's more than that now. But they know. And then we'll hold events out there. Like, we'll feed the hood. We will buy Christmas presents for all the kids in the hood. Thousands of toys. We've done that 2 years in a row now. And while that may sound like handouts and enabling people to make poor decisions with their money, buying drugs instead of presents, yeah, that I'm sure happens. But it wasn't James's fault when Jess and I bought drugs instead of Christmas. It's not those kids' fault. And so even though there is a little bit of handout involved in the events that we do, it's building trust, man. These people are seeing and realizing you're there to actually help them. You're not there just to go put somebody in jail, or shoot somebody. You're actually there trying to meet a need, meet these people where they're at, and show them that they still have worth as human beings. Because I can tell you, when I was out there towards the end, I didn't feel human. I wouldn't make eye contact with anybody. I felt substandard to literally anyone. I felt so insignificant and worthless. And I came real close to ending it more than once on purpose. I tried more than once. And
do you have conversations with these guys?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to talk to them about their hopes and dreams. I want to talk to them about where their life diverged from the one they had always envisioned. And the sad part is that in a lot of these cases, you find out it didn't. They're living the life they envisioned because that's all they're ever taught. It's all they're ever shown. It was all that was ever modeled for them. You have like generational legacies of dope dealing in some of these neighborhoods.
I would imagine. So, I mean, how do you even, we just had a conversation a couple hours ago about having your identity wrapped up in your occupation.
Ma'am. And that is, I didn't want to like try to make a comparison between soft guys and dope boys, but I was thinking about that when you were saying it, because their identity is completely wrapped up in that. Completely. It is their whole sense of worth and value is wrapped up in the fact that they're a dope boy and they got money and they have control, they have power. Because the reality is, especially when we're talking on the trafficked women side of it, if you got that sack of dope, you have whatever you want. You can get whatever you want out there. No questions asked. And that is a hard thing for some of these guys to let go. When they start seeing it happen to somebody they love, though, their sister, their child, their baby mama, their cousin, their mom, their eyes open up a little bit, and you've got a window of time to make some impact there. Young kids getting shot out there, that happens all the time too, and it breaks everybody's heart. Nobody wants to see that shit. And those are opportunities to go in there and have conversations. They all know and accept that their means of earning income is not sustainable and that it will send them to prison. And so trying to break it down to these guys that prison is not a normal part of life. That's not, we like, don't have that on your 5, 10, 20-year plan, like don't put prison as something that's going to happen. You can actually control whether or not you ever go to prison. That's like a revelation to some of these guys.
No kidding.
Yeah. And how sad is that? How sad is that? In fact, I'll give you an example. I'm not going to say his name, but years ago in the trap house on Woburn, they used to give the biggest dope boy on that block a hard time because I had done more prison time or more time than he had. I've never even been to prison. All mine was jail time. But they used to give him a hard time because I had done more jail time than he had. When was it ever a badge of honor to do more jail time than somebody else? It's not. It shouldn't be. And so these mentalities that you're having to break down out there, they've been in place for generations, And it's
Do they become vulnerable with you? Do they give you validation for helping?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now it's going to depend on who it is. Everybody's individual, and some of them are going to be way more closely guarded. But I've seen tears shed by a lot of these guys, especially when it comes down to things like fatherhood, being present in your kids' lives. And if you can get them to talk about childhood, that usually rips open some wounds, some painful ones. Because I don't know if this is unique to the neighborhoods in Memphis where we operate or if this is an across the board thing in inner cities, but sexual abuse is very common in childhood, even incestual abuse. That's not something that gets talked about in that community. And if you can create an environment where they will talk through childhood traumas, you really get another in with these people. And it's just that thing of it. You have to make human connection. And that's why I think
no matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.